Baldur's Gate 3 is brimming with mysteries, enough to keep any player guessing. And for the lore enthusiasts or avid scrap collectors, an especially intriguing question emerges early on into Act 1. Within the comforting embrace of our beloved auntie's cozy abode, nestled amongst the shelves and trinkets, lies a trove of correspondence exchanged between Auntie Ethel and a mysterious figure who signs their letters simply as M. These letters discuss two individuals, one a thief who gave our M the slip in Baldur's Gate and is known to be traveling along the Chiantar River. Another is a girl whose mother's mind is failing. The letter implies M sent the girl to Ethel through the usual route. But who is our mystery letter writer, and what are they doing corresponding with Auntie Ethel? M seems to be tied very closely to Auntie Ethel, and I don't think it's much of a leap to assume she must be another hag. After all, once you defeat Auntie Ethel and explore her lair, you find an unfinished letter. This letter is a response from Ethel to M, and in the letter, Ethel refers to her as her sister. Coming across a single hag in Baldur's Gate 3 is already a nerve-wracking experience for any adventuring party, and I personally was excited and terrified to meet Ethel's sister, but sadly, we never do meet M. Perhaps there's a DLC that might come out and explore more options on who M might be, but for now, I'd like to talk about a few different theories on who might fit the identity of M and what their motives might be behind assisting Auntie Ethel in her evil deeds. As we delve deeper into the mystery of the elusive figure known only as M, several characters emerge as potential candidates. So let's explore each of these potential hags in disguise to determine if they could indeed be the true identity behind the enigmatic M. We begin our investigation with what I perceive to be the least probable candidate, Marina. She plays a pivotal role in our introduction to hags and serves as one of the major plot points in our quest with Ethel. If you choose to save her upon your first encounter, you can find her again later in Baldur's Gate, where she has taken a personal vendetta against hags, leading a support group of hag survivors. Through the remainder of the quest, we can save Marina again by removing the curse from the doll upstairs in the safe house in Baldur's Gate, or defeating the secret agent placed among the survivors. Doing so will provide more information about how to weaken hags and defeat them entirely. But what if Marina is another hag all along, and she's using the support group as a means to allow others who may still be suffering to get closer and feed her power? After all, she always seems to come out unscathed, and it wouldn't be beyond belief to assume a hag might disguise herself as a means to getting closer to those who are suffering. We know hags tend to hold grudges until the end of time, and what better way to find those who have run out on deals than to infiltrate a group of survivors? I don't personally believe Marina is M for a few reasons. Marina is killable throughout the entire story. She shows no interesting traits upon examination, and she is actively pregnant with a human child. Being that hags physically cannot be pregnant without stealing the child from another, it's highly unlikely Marina is an exception. In my opinion, I think this is just a fun idea to think about. The one who may have been slighted the most by hags in our story might very well be the thing, we sought to destroy. The next likely hidden hag is someone you may or may not run into throughout your time in Baldur's Gate 3. She resides in the cemetery in Baldur's Gate, unassuming and meekly stationed in the far corner, peddling her flowers for those who wish to place them on the graves of their loved ones. This flower seller, Maud, fits the bill of being a hag in more ways than one. She resides in a location rife with much suffering and heartache, which would feed her needs as a hag. She has the same sweet old lady demeanor and disguise we see present with Ethel, and she seems to have been in Baldur's Gate for some time. She doesn't present any unique effects upon examination, and she is very much killable. I suppose you could argue she may be faking her death as a means to avoid suspicion, but in other areas of the game, you can easily reveal hidden enemies prompted by attacking them, such as the strange Ox or Orin's various disguises. I don't believe this instance would be any different. I do think that Maud is a good contender, and potentially Maud was meant to be M. Perhaps it's something we'll see in a DLC, or perhaps she's just guilty of being a sweet old lady trying to peddle flowers as a means to get by in Baldur's Gate. Hags are trophy collectors, keeping small keepsakes relevant to their victims, and Auntie Ethel is no different. Upstairs within her house, you'll find a book titled A Brush on Evil with Hags, written by an Elizabeth M. Soot. It's an incredibly rare book, and within the book, Elizabeth details how she originally began her research into hags with little to no fear. After all, she writes, she had bested a Glabrazu, a demon specialized in temptation of mortals, and didn't feel as if she would have any trouble trading wits with a hag. However, within the book, you read how she has been in servitude to a hag for roughly 2 years, and in this time has even grown fond of her captor. It's tough to imagine why a hag would want to keep someone around for 2 years, and it really begs a question of why Elizabeth was not only allowed to live, but allowed to record her entire experience. Did the hag wish to control the narrative surrounding hags? Did Elizabeth discover some hidden knowledge which the hags hoped to remain secret? Or did Elizabeth spend 2 years receiving her education in hags, growing fond of them and admiring them, only to make a deal with the hag to become a hag? This is really just a fun theory for me. There's no direct evidence that points to Elizabeth being a hag. After all, we don't find any additional detail about her beyond her book, but it would be right within a hag's pattern of torture to turn a scholar who researched monsters as a means of defeating them into the very monster they have sworn to destroy. There are quite a few Easter eggs in Baldur's Gate, referencing a variety of Larian games and Forgotten Realms source material. Our final theory places none other than the leader of the hags herself square in the middle of likely being Mad Maggie, night hag, warlord, and leader of the Knucklebones gang, ruled in the late 15th century DR, this same year the events of Baldur's Gate 3. She often wore the appearance of a gentle grandmother on the surface and had a complete obsession with the corruption of valiant souls. Mad Maggie went into Avernus in search of the ultimate mystery and became obsessed with the history of the fallen angel Zariel. We know devils and demons play a large role in Baldur's Gate, and we've seen no end to the creative ways that they may inflict their suffering. If Mad Maggie also surfaced from Avernus to learn more about Zariel's struggles, she may have required additional help navigating the research within Candlekeep or any other libraries that might seek to push out unsavory characters. It would make sense that she would capture a learned scholar who had dealings with the devils and a unique interest in hags, otherwise known as our previous theory subject, Elizabeth M. Soot. I'm sure Elizabeth showing up on Maggie's doorstep was no coincidence, and I believe Maggie held Elizabeth to assist her in her research before serving her a terrible poetic end. Elizabeth was just a valiant soul for Maggie to corrupt and use for her own personal interests, and after 2 years of servitude, Elizabeth likely met a terrible fate known only to Maggie. Maggie strikes me as the perfect character to be our mysterious M, and I do hope that we get to maybe explore this option in later DLCs. These were a lot of fun theories to look at. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any other ideas about who M might be, or whether it's just something that we were never meant to find out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Big shout out to Noelle Wim 123 for asking for a theory on who is M in the letters you can find in Ethel's home. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing. I genuinely enjoy reading everybody's comments and seeing what everyone thinks. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day or a great rest of your evening. Avoid suspicious old ladies and roll a 20.